Happy Apple Watch owners, happy Apple stockholders, and not so happy endings to online hookup site users. Tech News Tonight is next.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Tonight, episode 384 for Monday, July 20th, 2015. This episode of Tech News Tonight is brought to you by Wealthfront. Wealthfront is a low-cost automated investment service that is the most sophisticated way for you to invest your money. Whether you've got millions or you're just starting out, visit wealthfront.com/TN2 to sign up and get your free personalized investment portfolio. That's wealthfront.com/TN2. Welcome. I am Megan Maroney. Let's get to today's news. Has the Apple Watch been a hit or a miss? That's a topic that's been up for hot debate on the web and even right here on our network. Today, TechPinions, together with a company called Wristly, came out with results from a survey of 1,000 watch users that gives the watch a 97% overall satisfaction rate. Joining us to talk about what this means in terms of Apple Watch sales is Steve Kovac, senior editor at Business Insider. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
So what do you make of this claim of 97% satisfaction?
I guess I believe it. I mean, they said they surveyed 1,000 watch owners and they say they like it. So I guess they like it. But I mean, then they compare it to previous studies, which weren't done by them. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because we're never going to know how many Apple Watches were sold because Apple has already told us that they're not going to tell us. They're going to lump it into this category in their earnings tomorrow called Other, which includes things like the Apple TV and any other little doodads and accessories. So, the biggest thing we should look for in that Other category tomorrow is a big jump in revenue growth. And that'll give us kind of a hint at how Apple Watch sales are doing. But other than that, we're never going to know. And, it's just going to spark endless debates of, is it a dud? Is it not? At the end of the day, it almost doesn't matter because Apple is the iPhone company. And as long as they keep selling iPhones at the way they're selling iPhones, it really doesn't matter for Apple.
Well, I mean, it's interesting I know a study can say anything, but, the other things that this study said was that there was a 92% satisfaction rate or a 91% satisfaction rate for the iPhone or the iPad in their first year. So, I mean, drawing from that, I guess 91% for iPad, 92% for iPhone. If those are at all accurate, then 97 is pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure people who are early adopters of any product and they're plunking down $400 or $500 or $13,000 for a smartwatch, they're going to say they like it. They made a big financial bet on it. I mean, I own one. I like it. I wear it almost every day. But I enjoy it for probably different reasons than most people think they would like it. I like it just to check notifications and the time and things like that. And I think that's part of the reason why that New York Times piece that came out this weekend about how, just like there's not a lot of developer support. I think that kind of shows people are still trying to figure out what this platform means and how they can take advantage. Because, so far, that story we're showing right now, so far, a lot of the apps we've seen have been kind of like mini versions of what you already see on the smartphone. And that just doesn't make sense. When I'm using the Apple Watch, I ignore almost every app on there, and I rely on it mostly for notifications, fitness tracking, and telling the time, shocking enough. So I think we have yet to see someone come up with a truly innovative application for this thing. And if and when that does happen, then we'll start to see this narrative change around the Apple Watch. But right now, the narrative is going to kind of stick. Apple's not telling us how many they sold. So, it's either a total dud, depending on who you talk to, or it's a massive hit, depending on who you talk to.
Right. I mean, the New York Times article says, Facebook doesn't have an app and Snapchat doesn't have an app. And those are the most popular apps on the iPhone. So, it must not be, the Apple Watch must not be successful, but that doesn't really mean anything. Even in the article, the person in charge of the app on Facebook said, well, we can't figure out a way to make it good.
Right. And so what are you going to do? Squint at little status updates on your wrist? You look at these news, you look at like the New York Times app or even Instagram, which is made by Facebook. The Instagram app on the Apple Watch is terrible. Who wants to look at photos on their wrist and scroll through? It's slow. You can't really do anything with it. So I think Facebook is smart and Snapchat is smart to wait and see how they can adapt to it. At the same time, if the Apple Watch does take off, there's always the opportunity for someone to kind of create the next Snapchat on the watch or a wearable device like that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, Facebook is lucky because they have Instagram. They can try it out. If it already doesn't work on Instagram, it's certainly not going to be, something that people are going to use for Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is really slow. I mean, it's almost worse than, because you can like a photo on Instagram on your watch, but you don't even really know what you're liking. So it's, worse than helpful. So Apple releases earnings tomorrow, as we talked about, and we're not going to find out how many watches they sold. We'll just see this other category. Is there any other way to read the tea leaves about how they're doing as a company or how the watch is doing than we've already talked about?
Yeah, if you want to talk about the watch, I mean, I think we can look at, again, you go back to that revenue growth you see in the other category, and it'll also kind of give you an idea of which type of watch you're selling. Most likely, most people are buying the sport edition. I mean, I think that's a safe assumption. Most people trying out a new category are going to buy the cheapest one. So that's either $350 or $400. And then you can kind of guesstimate how many, based on that, what the average selling price is for the Apple Watch. So, we can kind of get an idea which type of Apple Watch people are buying. Are they buying the edition? Are they buying the regular one? Or are they buying the sports? And then you got to factor in things like accessories and bands and so forth. But yeah, and I'd be shocked if they came out and directly said, we sold X million of them last quarter. I'm sure the analysts will ask, but they're just going to say something like, oh, we're super happy with it. It's meeting our expectations, or it's exceeded our expectations, and use some kind of really vague, broad language. And again, for Apple as a company, it really doesn't matter. Apple is the iPhone company, and the iPhone is doing extremely well, especially since the iPhone 6. It's blowing away even the best expectations, especially in what's typically a slower quarter, like the June quarter that just finished up.
So what about Apple Music? I mean, is that some that, the $9.99, no one's paying for it for the next, at least until October. Do they suspect that that's going to be a big revenue for them, a lot of revenue for them?
Yeah, I think that gets tied into like the apps and the iTunes category too. That's a good question. I don't know if I think part of it will be because when you sign up, it kind of auto bills you unless you switch that off. So some people might end up paying that $10 a month and not realize they're paying it. Those people who tried it, a couple weeks ago when it launched, will it be a massive revenue generator? No, but you look at things like Apple Music and the News app that's launching soon. All these things just kind of build into and adding value to the iPhone. You buy an iPhone and you get all these nice things that come with it, the Health app and News app and Apple Music. And that just makes the iPhone more appealing in the long run. That's why they do those kind of things. It's not necessarily, oh, we're going to make a massive amount of money on it. But no, it builds loyalty into the iPhone platform. And that's part of the reason why the iPhone continues just to do as well as it does. And the most important thing to them is that people keep upgrading every year or 2 years.
Right. I mean, I hope that developers look at the most popular apps. I mean, the workout, most people who exercise do say and have Apple Watches, that's what I love the most about it. And, the workout app on the watch does everything I need to do, and then it does more on the iPhone. So they really are complementary in a really interesting way because, they're all made by Apple. So maybe developers will look at that and see how they can extrapolate that to their own apps.
Exactly. And you can add value if you have a really hot app already on iPhone. I mean, this is a really interesting opportunity to figure out, okay, how can I enhance that besides just a notification on the watch? And so far, almost no one has figured that out yet. And maybe they won't. Maybe it's just not the kind of thing you need to make an app for, other than some kind of simple notification. And if that's the case, maybe the price has to come down to make it more accessible to more people or something.
Right. Well, today's other big news is that the dating site Ashley Madison was hacked today. Krebs on Security says hackers have threatened to leak details, including the credit card information, nude photographs, and other personal information of its 37 million customers. The twist to this story, if you haven't already heard, is that Ashley Madison is a website for people specifically looking to find someone to have an affair with. Any ideas on how this hack happened?
Yeah, I think the CEO came out and said or at least there's a suspicion that it was some sort of inside job. And if that's the case, it's kind of good news in the sense that, like, okay, so their servers are secure and they just had a bad employee and that's easier to track, I guess. But if it was from an outside hack, boy, are those hackers smart to go after something like Ashley Madison, because that's like the perfect kind of thing to keep hostage. Like, if there's any kind of site you're already giving your credit card and personal information to that you don't want the public knowing about, it's that. And at the same time, I think there already are some tools that kind of lurk into Ashley Madison sites, and you can kind of type in an email address and find out if your spouse is logged onto the site or not. Yeah, I mean, again, it's no different than any of the other hacks we've seen recently. It's just idiots on the internet who want to make a quick buck by exploiting people.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does seem like specifically this hack, the Office of Personnel Management, even the Sony hack were designed, I mean, not just to get, just to steal people's credit card information, but to blackmail them further to get more money.
Exactly. Yeah. And, and then there's, a couple of weeks ago, that whole ransomware story that was going around, and, that it's a real thing. And unfortunately, there's not a really good way for just the average Joe to protect himself. One of the things that bothered me about this story was, say what you will about adultery and online dating, but I mean, these people weren't necessarily doing anything illegal. At the same time, when you give your private information to a site like Ashley Madison, you're probably putting yourself at a little bit of a higher risk than OkCupid or Match.com or something like that.
Right. I mean, they're all consenting adults. They can do whatever they want. And, it does leave the public, and especially, we all have Twitter to tweet about on, just to say, well, yeah, too bad. But yeah, it is true. They weren't doing anything illegal. They, everyone has the right to do whatever they want in the privacy of their own home. Adults do. So you brought up ransomware, because from what I've seen of the story so far as it's developing, it does sound like this is kind of a ransom situation. The hackers are holding the site for ransom, basically saying, take down this site, Ashley Madison, and another site, or we'll release this information.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. These moralists, I guess, that are so against it. I mean, I don't know. Just it's going to be interesting to see how Ashley Madison reacts. I mean, again, they're doing nothing wrong. I mean, some people might morally disagree with it. It's not necessarily a site I'd be on, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if who caves first, and if they really can release that information, or if they have what they say they have, and so forth. And at the same time, Ashley Madison, which I assume, generates a lot of money, is going to lose a lot of trust with the people who do use the site.
Right. I mean, in this, I guess the CEO of this company, Noel Bitterman, he's been hacked before. A few months ago, his site, Adult Friend Finder, was also hacked. So is there any possibility, anything that you've read that says that he might be the target for this?
I think the company as a whole is a target, right? I mean, and the people who use it. I mean, maybe it's him a little bit, but I mean, I think it's just everything these sites stand for is what's being attacked, maybe more than the individual users.
Right. And it seemed like the hackers were also saying, that this isn't the way the site isn't keeping your information secure. And so maybe they're just standing for like more secure companies, adding more security to their websites. That's what they're standing for.
It could be, or I mean, if it is an internal thing, that's a whole other issue. So it's gonna take a while to see how it shakes out, I guess. And it was an internal, was an external attack, and who are these people? And are they going after the CEO, or are they really after the types of people who use these sites? And if so, like, what does that accomplish? Like, why are you doing this? It's just someone's private matters, and it's like all of a sudden when this stuff gets on the internet, everyone's under all this criticism for something that's not bad. I mean, it's maybe morally wrong depending on what your morals are, but it's definitely not illegal. So why are we even bothering with private individuals and what they're doing?
Right. Good point. Steve Kovac, thank you so much. You are the senior editor at Business Insider.
There you go. You got it.
And you are working on a big secret project that you're going to tell us about sometime in the near future.
Yes. Next time I'm on, almost certainly I'll be able to tell you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Steve.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Coming up, Airbnb for business, Luxe for a safe drive home, and no more Google Plus photos. But first, you know that you should be investing your money for the long term, for you or the family's financial health, and you've probably wondered how you should do it. There are many different ways. Trying to do it yourself, especially the right way, is complex and time-consuming. Luckily, there is Wealthfront. Traditional advisors charge huge fees. They often charge between 1% and 3% of what you've got under management, plus hidden fees for transactions and changes, and you often have no idea when these fees are being charged and why. Wealthfront makes it easy for anyone to access world-class long-term investment management. You can get started investing today at a minimum of $500. That is not very much. A lot of places, their minimums are much higher. You sign up for an account at wealthfront.com in just minutes. It goes right to work, monitoring your portfolios round the clock, taking action as soon as an opportunity arises. So whether you're investing for retirement or a different long-term goal, Wealthfront automatically rebalances your portfolio and reinvests your dividends, all commission-free. Wealthfront software optimizes your investments for the best risk-adjusted return, net of taxes and fees. Wealthfront is transparent and they're accessible. You can view all your accounts in one place, whether they're personal, joint, or retirement. You can also see every trade that Wealthfront makes on your behalf in your dashboard, on your desktop, or even with their mobile app. Sophisticated investment strategies like tax loss harvesting and direct indexing, which optimize your after-tax returns while simultaneously lowering your tax bill. With Wealthfront, you pay 0.25% a year, that's 25 basis points, zero commissions, and no hidden fees. That's less than $5 a month to invest in a $30,000 account. There are no additional charges for any of Wealthfront's services. Wealthfront manages over $2.4 billion in client assets, and it's grown over 20 times in the past 2 years. Join Wealthfront and start investing your money the right way. For compliance purposes, I have to tell you that Wealthfront Incorporated is an SEC-registered investment advisor. Brokerage services are offered through Wealthfront Brokerage Corporation, member FINRA and SIPC. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell securities. Investing in securities involves risks, and there is a possibility of losing money. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Please visit wealthfront.com to read their full disclosure. Visit wealthfront.com/TN2 to sign up and get your free personalized investment portfolio. You'll see the customized allocation they recommend for your profile. And just for Twit listeners, if you sign up to invest, Wealthfront will manage your first $15,000 entirely free of charge for life. Claim your offer today at wealthfront.com/TN2. On to a few more stories we're following today. The Verge reports that Josh Greenberg, the founder of music streaming service Grooveshark, was found dead in his apartment on Sunday. Local police say there was no evidence of foul play or suicide. Greenberg started Grooveshark in 2006 when he was only 19 years old. He shut the site down 3 months ago as part of a settlement with rescue companies over failing to secure licenses for music. Greenberg was a big part of the student startup scene in his home of Gainesville, Florida. He also co-founded Tap Shield, a service that provides enhanced 911 functionality to smartphones and emergency responders. According to a post on Google Plus Photos will shut down on August 1st. Google Plus Photos is different than Google Photos, the free app that was launched in May and which has promised to keep all of your photos safe forever. If you still use Google Plus Photos, you can transfer your photos to Google Photos using the download link from the Google Plus Photos page. If you missed the August 1st deadline, your photos will still be able to be accessible through Google Takeout. That is the service that allows you to download a copy of your data stored with Google products. Airbnb announced today it is going after the corporate traveler with revamped tools for travel managers, services, and a new dashboard system for billing and accounting. Currently, about 10% of rentals are from businesses, comparable to what it was a year ago, and many tech companies like Google, SoundCloud, and Vox Media feel that Airbnb meets their needs. Twilio, for example, uses Airbnb to house new employees for as long as a month to assist with moving from one city to another and to give them a more authentic feel of living in San Francisco. Airbnb has seen an 8-fold growth in business service customers since last year, and they feel its extended day business travel options and the option for teams to stay together in one house will win over more business customers from the already $302.7 billion projected business spending for 2015. And finally, on-demand valet service Luxe has a new offering. It's like Uber, but for designated drivers. GeekWire says that if you're too drunk to drive home, you can use the Luxe app to request a ride home in your own car. The service costs $25 plus $3 per mile. A Luxe driver will meet you at your car, and then they'll return home using public transportation, a taxi, or perhaps they will call an Uber themselves. GeekWire adds that the new service is covered by Luxe's $5 million insurance policy so that you and your car are safe. The company will also donate $1 from every drive home safe ride to Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And that is it for this edition of Tech News Tonight. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/technewstonight with the number 2. You can like us to get links to the show when it's posted and the stories we talk about. And if you want to be part of the conversation, you can post a comment on the stories that we post. We will read the best ones right here on this show. You can also subscribe to the show at twit.tv/TN2. You can write to us at tn2@twit.tv and watch live every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And don't miss our morning news program, Tech News Today, every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Megan Maroney. Thanks for watching.
Bandwidth for Tech News Tonight is brought to you by CashFly.com.